When I pulled into my gravel driveway that afternoon, I didn't expect three things: a shiny property of Cedar Hollow HOA, sign planted in front of my porch, a woman in pearls and orthopedic sandals handing out house tour flyers to a cluster of confused retirees, and a locksmith changing my front door locks like he owned the place. Oh, and you're the woman in pearls? That would be Shannon Lively, HOA President Extraordinaire Human Migraine. Nightmare with a smile would been making my life hell for 6 months straight. "We're listing your cabin as the new community lodge," she chirped, handing me a clipboard. "We'll need the keys and a short bio for the welcome brochure." I blinked once, then calmly opened my truck bed and pulled out a folder marked Deed plus Blood, Sweat, and Receipts. Let me back up a sec. My name's Tyler Brinkley. I'm a former welder turned woodworking hermit, and for 5 years, I built my off-grid dream cabin deep in the pines of Cedar Hollow County. My neighbors? Dear. My Wi-Fi. Weak. My life. Perfectly quiet. Then came the Timberline Estates expansion, a pastel apocalypse of cookie-cutter homes, retirees with too much free time, and leading the charge, Shannon Lively, who believed seriously anything within shouting distance falls under HOA protection. My cabin sat a good quarter-mile from their property line, but Shannon had binoculars, boundary issues, and a self-appointed authority complex. It started with lavender-printed notes on my door, porch stain clashes with community palette, unread structure submit elevation schematics, and, my favorite, grass height exceeds 2.5 in .HOA maximum. I wrote back politely, "I'm not in your HOA. Goodbye." She responded by filing a proximity annexation claim, citing some obscure clause that supposedly let her absorb adjacent unincorporated properties. Basically, she declared my cabin Common Property 3, Lodge and Wellness Center, and scheduled a wine tasting there the next Saturday. I found out when a flyer appeared on my mailbox with a photo of my living room she'd apparently taken through my window with a telephoto lens. $20 per person, rustic charm guaranteed, wine included. Yeah, that happened. When I got home that day, I found a locksmith changing locks and a real estate agent photographing my custom-built River Rock fireplace. I didn't yell. I didn't frown. Years of welding had taught me calm precision beats emotional outbursts. I handed the agent a cease and desist letter. I handed the locksmith a lawsuit threat mentioning his company by name. And to Shannon, I handed a notarized deed, a certified 1998 land survey, and a laminated county zoning map with one phrase highlighted: "Not subject to HOA jurisdiction." She smirked like someone who'd never actually read a law book. "These documents are outdated," she waved dismissively. "Our expansion supersedes old county lines." Then she called the sheriff, claiming a hostile non-resident refused to vacate community property. Deputy Morrison, my old high school buddy, showed up in 15 minutes. He reviewed my documents, nodded, and told Shannon, "Ma'am, this is a cabin, not a community rec center. Step off this man's property." She tried claiming administrative immunity as HOA president. Morrison raised his eyebrows, so high I thought they'd touch his hat. "Not a thing, Mrs. Lively. Move along, or I'll charge you with trespassing." What she didn't know, I'd preemptively contacted the county board, zoning department, and a land use attorney the moment she sent her first pink warning. Documentation beats argumentation every time. When she filed paperwork to seize my cabin under emergency community needs, it triggered a multi-agency investigation that moved faster than she could schedule her next HOA meeting. Turns out, she'd done this before 3 times, absorbing private lots through intimidation and bluffing, convincing elderly owners they had no choice but to comply. 2 sold for pennies. 1 abandoned a shed she converted into her private meditation space. Not me. I had receipts. Cameras capturing her sneaking onto my property at 2 a.m. Audio of her claiming she could take whatever benefits the greater good. Every misstep documented. She got charged with attempted land misappropriation, fraud, unauthorized entry, and harassment. The wellness center she advertised became evidence, labeled Exhibit A through F. Court day was electric. Half the HOA board showed up, some to support her, some clearly hoping for justice. Shannon arrived in her pearls and power blazer, radiating, "I demand to speak to your manager." Her lawyer nervously argued that visibility equals voluntary integration. "If you can see it, you can seize it, Your Honor." A matter of aesthetic domain. The judge, Patricia Holbrook, blinked slowly, removed her glasses, cleaned them, and replied dryly, "Counselor, this isn't colonial Spain. Doctrine of discovery does not apply." The courtroom stifled laughter. Even Shannon's own board cracked smiles. Evidence was brutal. Security footage showed her on my property 17 times without permission. Forensic accountants discovered she'd already spent expected wellness center revenue on new HOA office furniture, specifically a massage chair labeled Presidential Stress Relief. She even pre-printed membership cards with her signature. Emails revealed she told a board member she planned to legally steal my cabin to increase property values for Timberline Estates. She literally wrote those words. The ruling? Swift and merciless. $75,000 fine total. $50,000 to me, $25,000 to the county. She had to personally replace my locks, deliver keys under court supervision, and publish a full-page apology in the HOA newsletter and website homepage for 6 months. That same evening, the HOA board convened an emergency meeting. The room was standing room only, filled with residents who'd endured her reign. She was removed as president unanimously. Even her own husband voted against her. But it didn't end there. The county commissioner, accompanied by a sheriff, handed her official papers. Permanent ban from any HOA board in the county due to harassment, fraud, and abuse of power. Her face turned purpley plant-level purple. She knocked over her chair and shrieked, "You can't do this. I built this HOA. I am this HOA." The commissioner calmly replied, "Not anymore. You're not," and handed over the removal papers. She crumpled them and hurled them at him, adding assault and another $5,000 fine to her growing list of legal woes. So yeah, when I finally sat on my porch that evening, quiet once more, I sipped a cold beer and listened to the crickets. Cabin safe, sanity restored, and a whole HOA learning the hard way that rules don't bend for self-appointed royalty. But you know what? The story didn't end there. Shannon's followers were still whispering about how she might appeal or find loopholes. And honestly, in Cedar Hollow, rumor spreads faster than Wi-Fi. Some neighbors cheered. Others murmured about HOA overreach. And me? I just laughed, because sometimes the best revenge is letting justice do the talking while you enjoy your porch in peace. So tell me, if you were in my shoes, how far would you go to protect your slice of paradise? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your craziest HOA nightmare, or tell me where your line would be drawn. Justice isn't always quick, but man, when it lands with style. But just when I thought the worst was behind me, Cedar Hollow has a way of reminding you that peace is always temporary. A week after Shannon's spectacular downfall, I noticed a black SUV parked near the trailhead down by my Cabino plates. Tinted windows, so dark you couldn't see inside. At first, I chalked it up to curious neighbors, but the timing was too perfect. Every time I stepped outside, it was there like a shadow staking a claim I didn't invite it to. I called Deputy Morrison. Again, had been my unofficial HOA consigliere at this point in. He came out within the hour. He gave me the kind of look that said, "Tyler, I've seen this before. Stay calm, but stay ready." Turns out Shannon wasn't done meddling. She had a small network of supporters who still try to flex HOA influence, quietly submitting forms, raising noise complaints, and even attempting to pressure local contractors not to work with me. Yeah, apparently my porch stain was still a community hazard in someone's imagination. So I did what I always do, documented everything. Cameras, audio, timestamped notes, full-on evidence arsenal. And then came my little twist. Mara Voss, the retiree neighbor who had always looked a little too cheerful for my taste, knocked on my door one morning. She confessed she'd been helping Shannon sneak updates into HOA filings, but she wanted out. She'd realized Shannon's empire was crumbling, and she didn't want to go down in flames too. I listened, stayed calm, and slowly coaxed her into giving me copies of all the backdoor filings and emails she had access to. Suddenly, what looked like harassment turned into more ammunition for me. With this new intel, I contacted the county again, and the zoning office opened a follow-up investigation. Between Mara's documents, my recordings, and Morrison's notes, it became clear that Shannon's emergency property seizure tactics weren't just illegal, they were a pattern of coordinated fraud. The county moved fast. Within a month, the HOA board had to hold another emergency session, this time to clean house. Old members who'd quietly tolerated Shannon's antics were finally holding her accountable for every lot she'd tried to annex, every document she'd forged, every dollar she'd misappropriated. Meanwhile, life around the cabin started returning to as normal as it gets in Cedar Hollow. Deer wandered through my yard again, the stream gurgled in peace, and my woodworking projects finally got uninterrupted attention. I even installed a small security post with a solar camera pointing toward the trailhead. Call me paranoid, but experience teaches you that victory tastes sweetest when you can see it locked down and recorded. But peace wasn't without its drama. A local real estate blogger caught wind of my story and published a feature titled Hermit Versus HOA, How One Cabin Beat the System. Overnight, my once anonymous cabin became a minor celebrity in community forums. Emails flooded in from curious neighbors, ex-HOA victims, and a few pranksters pretending to be Shannon supporters. My inbox became a testament to the chaos that had followed her reign. Some of these messages were bizarrely supportive, others downright threatening. I sipped my coffee and laughed. After all, I had the law, the evidence, and a very patient deputy on speed dial. The final kicker? The Cedar Hollow Gazette ran a follow-up, reporting that Shannon had filed for an appeal which was predictably tossed out by the county judge in record time. The HOA website had to update its board pages, removing Shannon's photo and replacing it with a blank temporary leadership banner. I drove past the community center one day and caught sight of the old massage chair she'd spent HOA funds on, now gathering dust like a monument to hubris. I swear, I almost waved at it. By summer, the neighborhood seemed to breathe easier. Residents who had quietly suffered under Shannon's rules felt emboldened. A few approached me cautiously, confessing their own cabin horror stories and asking how they could protect themselves. I gave them a simple answer: documentation, cameras, legal counsel, and, yeah, maybe a dash of stubbornness. It wasn't heroism, it was practical survival. Cedar Hollow had taught me that even paradise can be threatened by power-hungry people, but evidence and patience always win in the long run. And yet, even with all that closure, there was a lingering tension like a storm cloud that refuses to pass completely. A couple of months after the final court ruling, I received a small envelope, unmarked, containing nothing but a single Polaroid of my cabin at night, taken from somewhere deep in the trees, and the words scrawled underneath: "See you soon." Creepy, yes, but also oddly thrilling. I leaned back in my chair, cracked open a beer, and grinned. If Shannon or anyone else wanted to play, I was ready. My cabin was my sanctuary, my proof of survival, and my personal fortress. And that's when I realized something important. Cedar Hollow isn't just about property lines or HOA bylaws, it's about people staking claims on your peace of mind. It's about defending the life you've built, even when bureaucratic narcissists try to rewrite the rules. And let me tell you, nothing feels better than winning not just for yourself, but for every neighbor who's ever been bullied into compliance. So, I guess the real question now is this. If you were me, would you have gone all in with the legal counterpunches, or would you have let Shannon have her fun? How far would you go to protect your slice of paradise? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your wildest HOA nightmare, or tell me about that one time someone crossed a line on your property. Justice doesn't always arrive on a silver platter, but when it does, man, it's sweet.